Hey everyone, I'm Blue, and we're opening some more Dust Till Dawn. But, can you spot the difference? Because these aren't just any two boxes, no. Is it a bit apparent? It's quite apparent from what I can see, right? If you look on this side versus this side, the front is a little bit more apparent, right? The colouring is quite different. Here, there's a lot more yellows. Here, there's a lot more orange and reds. That is because one box is Belgium, and one box is Japanese. So we're going to be opening the two side by side to see if we can notice a few differences, right? Because there are some issues that I have with the Japanese product compared to Belgium from outsiders. So I do want to see if they're still apparent here with Dust Till Dawn. Now, obviously, the coloring of the box shouldn't translate to the coloring on the cards, right? The Japanese aren't usually more saturated, but we'll have a look. One of the other things you might notice, if I can sort of get it on camera, not really, no. This box is squished. Only slightly, but still squished. And I brought this up with outsiders, and the reason for that is the boxes used to package the Japanese boxes have an awful lot of space on every side, every angle, and even on the top, so they shift around a lot more, and obviously that can cause damage, whereas for Belgium, you know, they're almost custom to whatever the size of the set is. Now, interestingly, the boxes aren't different. So with outsiders, the Japanese box easily fit inside the Belgian box. No, sorry, other way around. The Belgian box easily fitted in the Japanese box. But now we have actually equivalent products, although just the color gradient. So we'll probably start with the Belgium, since I like the Belgium a bit more. One thing, though, that I do always bring up, the wax coating on the Belgian cards, I am slightly allergic to. So in that vein or regard, I do like opening the Japanese more because I can open a lot more of them. Speaking of which, I have opened 2/3 of my cases. Still no Angel. Did I say that already? I feel like I might have said that already. We'll probably do half, half, and half. Right. And of course, other big thing, these are paper, whereas the Japanese are still plastic. So, I don't know, if you have personal preference, if the plastic had tear tabs, I wouldn't care, but because, for whatever reason, they've discontinued tear tabs, I would rather the paper, because I can tear into them a lot easier. The other thing is they are kind of less slippery, right, so they don't shift around, these do, so again, that can cause a little bit of damage. Then you also have the whole gap in packs, or for instance, the Japanese, it's quite large, because of how far down they're crimped, the paper, right, the Belgium is a lot less. So in that regard, the cards can shift around, damage possibly. All those worries aside, let's crack, all right, and see what we can find and keep them separated. So a big thing for me that I know is still apparent, because I've brought it up before, is the cutting, right? So the cutting on the Belgium is very even, right? If you look at the edges, the light, you can sort of see it risen slightly, but not enough where it's tactile. We get anything good? No. I'm gonna actually stop pulling out rares, right, and foils, because at this point I don't need. Well, I should probably still separate them for, you know, storage purposes. We'll open some Japanese. Stick these here. These ones can go there. Stick them up so you guys can see. Should probably tilt the camera maybe a little bit more. All right, so open the Japanese now. That I have to pry apart, and we'll see. Is there? Yeah. Okay. So straight away on this one, you can sort of see a bit more, right? If I go like that, you can see the shadowing from the edge. Yeah, I'll put the card up so you can definitely tell it's not from the other cards. Can I get the angle again? Right, so just along here, it's pushed up and raised, so you can feel. It does mean the cards are marked, right? If you slip some of these cards into a deck, some of the outsiders cards that I've brought up before, because it is very apparent on all of them. You'll usually have one or two raised edges. I assume from wherever the card is on the cutting sheet, right? So this one, it is the top and the right. So I would assume cutting-wise, it would have been up here. This one is just the right, so that would have been there, for instance, in the overall sheet or something like that, where they've exercised the border maybe. But yeah, so it is noticeable, and it is something you could, you know, maliciously make use of if you played unsleeved. Just a little thing. Do we get anything? We did get foil. Otherwise, nothing else. And damage, that's the other thing, that whiting, I should say, not necessarily damage, but the whiting on the back borders is, you always get these spots, you can see, on the Japanese, which I think is kind of weird, because again, Japanese is pretty well touted as having good printing. Yet it seems like we don't necessarily see that when it comes to Flesh and Blood. Okay, we'll crack through the Belgium, right, and see if we can just notice anything I can sort of complain about to make it a bit more fairer with the Japanese, but I doubt so. The cardstock feels better to me. I don't know if they've changed it. I doubt so. It's probably just in my head because, again, I was very negative about the Japanese printing of Outsiders and just the fact that we only had access, right? Because for all the other sets, for all intents and purposes, I've been able to get a mix of products, except for the unlimited products. But obviously, Monarch, all the older sets, you know, because they were still transitioning, you were able to obtain products a bit easier of the variety. And then obviously the grievance at the start of, well, not surgical extraction, should probably count out how many of those I pulled. The start of the set release, right? The fact that the serialized art cards were only in the Belgium product was an interesting thought. And we'll probably talk more about those. I do want to do like a review of the sets, my overall feelings, the highs and the lows, if you will. And yeah, the serialized art cards are definitely a talking point there. Again, the feel of these is great. Thank heavens. Although it is out of Belgium. So I don't know. Obviously, you can get Marvel Angels in the Japanese. It's just in my head because, again, I'm opening quite a lot and I'm yet to find one. We finally find one. It is the Figment of Triumph. So the angel is the Archangel of Triumph. Very nice looking. It's nice to see that the foiling on this is good. In fact, there's contrast between the wings, which is nice. I can't tell if it's completely unfoiled, the little in-betweens. It's definitely nice to see. The cold foils are another big talking point. Cold foils are becoming a bit weird, right? Because on some cards it is becoming a miss, depending on the color balancing of the initial card. So for instance, the knights in this, right? They don't look great because they are too dark. And when you slap on a darker foiling on top of that, right, they sort of get washed out in the color schemes. If you're under the right light, fine. But on a few angles, they're not too appealing. And the big sufferer of that in this set is the Radiant armor, which to me was gorgeous. It was probably my favorite card set out of Dusk Till Dawn. But in cold foil, I really don't care for it. I wish they would have given me a rainbow foil version so I could compare. Well, we might as well talk about it. Well, we have lots of packs to open anyway. I'll still bring it up in the review. But yeah, so cold foil. For a lot of the high cards, equipment cards, right, what they've done is they've included only extended art versions. And the reason for that is to differentiate them from the rainbow foil a lot more. In contrast, right, the lesser versions. So, the commons, obviously, some of the Majestics, all the rares, they only have normal versions, and they don't have any foil versions, right? So they can balance it out. So you can either find a cold foil normal card and no rainbow foil to even out the market, if you will, or you can find a cold foil extended art versus a rainbow foil. The whole idea is the extended art will be, will be collectible because it is extended art. That is a great concept, but it misses out on a few cards. Majestics, where else went Majestics? Foils go there, Majestics go down. In fact, we had the Shaden Hydra. It was foils I put there. Do we find any other M's? No? Well, besides surgical extraction. So yeah, so I do think that's a bit of an issue. Especially with, like, the tokens. Not being able to find the foils and tokens. Not being able to find a few different cards as foils. It means you cycle through certain cards a lot easier. It also means making a master set of foils is super annoying. Right, because all the equipment doesn't have rainbow foil. All the tokens don't have rainbow foil. And, well, is that it? Heroes don't have rainbow foil. They should have put rainbow foil in, right? Like in crew and whatnot. But yeah, it's a good idea. It's a good concept. It will help with price balancing. The fact that the cold foil is now differentiated even greater, right, than just being high pool low pull, high chance. I'm saying that right. But yeah, it does feel though that we're missing out on a few things as a sacrifice for that. And I think having extended art cold foils just all across the board would probably hit better. And then you can still have rainbow foils across the board. So for instance, a Radiant set, right? If we had full art, they would be gorgeous. Even though the cold foiling, again, I don't care for, they'd still be gorgeous. And then you could still have the rainbow foil variant, which would look probably even better, right? Because again, it's a white card, so having the grayscale of cold foiling is not great. But what can you do? Alright, so I haven't noticed anything, amiss or horrible about these cards. Actually, the Mythic, that's a interesting point. Right, so the Mythic, sorry. Just open MTG, cut me some slack. The Majestic is in the back slot, right? In the Japanese, it's in the second last slot, which does give it a little bit of warding, right? Oh, and we still got cold foil. We got a Rugged Roller, as you can see, not extended art, right? And in contrast, there is no rainbow foil variant. You still get a rainbow foil too, right? So again, the odds are calculable. If we can estimate pull rates on Marvels, on Fables, we can, get a decent estimate for the size of the set, which we've done. I've also opened more than half. I was going to go back and forth. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Altogether, yeah. Belgium's looking fine. My fingers are getting a bit tingly. But the card stock, I do like the feel. So, Belgian cards are very slick. Japanese cards, if we get a big enough pile, are not. They're a bit more tacky to one another. Because the finish, again, is different. And again, noticeable to eye, because I am allergic to this finish. Only slightly, right? Not enough to send me into a frenzy. It was sort of enticing when I first opened, right? Because it was like anticipation, at least in my head, till it clued in that it was a plant allergy. That is generally what I am allergic to, is common plant byproducts. What am I doing here? That is a normal card. Put that there because I still need the extended art Angels, Heralds. Right, I'm missing a ton of them because they are significantly hard to pull. Again, foiling would have been nice. I mean, you could have come out with cold foil Heralds too. I think that would have been a decent idea. Because again, these are things we generally retouch on over and over again, but whatever, we'll hammer them home. The Heralds of Rebirth, the reason they are just plain extended art is because they don't want to, again, cannibalize their own promos, which is, a decent thought, but you could come up with something a little bit better, right? Because again, it's kind of weird having them slot in between the promo, in between the foils from Monarch, and then at the same time be extremely rare. I would say they're rarer than finding a full foil playset from Monarch. I might be wrong about that, but that's just how they feel. 4-pack flip. We'll wrap this up nice and quick. Anything? No, just a foil. Majestic's at the back, so that's all I have to look. Well, need to get my garbage box again. Oh, Majestic. Perfect. It's 2. Nada. Oh, but I do want the foil. And lucky last. Right. We will also just admire the Angel one more time. Oh, we got a Legendary in this as well. So, again, rainbow foil, so it's not extended art. Again, gives value to the cold foil a bit more than what it'd usually be, because most people just care about playability. Having extended art is a decent boost to collectability. So we got, it's actually, a great box. We got a cold foil, we got a Marvel, and we got a rainbow foil Legendary. Right, we'll do that side for the Angel. Still, it's somewhat annoying with the Angels, because that's the big draw for me for this set. Right, I already have. I actually got all of the Legendaries. We were missing one, but I opened it with my partner. So I have all the Legendaries at this point. Again, I just wanted to find Angels, and if I am paying a case and a half, I think is the estimate, right? So on average, an Angel should be $600 Australian, in which case I would be far better off just going and buying them, because they are not $600 an Angel. They're significantly cheaper because you factor in all the other cards you find, yada yada yada. That's how you get EVs. Point is, right, if you wanted a full set of Marvel Angels, just go buy them. Actually wait a few weeks more and then go buy them. But yeah, so that is Belgium done. Again, no discernible issues with coloring, with back damage, all those white spots. Actually, there's a few on the corners, right? But I can't tell if they're from printing or from just being in the boxes, because they seem like they're actually bent, right? Like it's cut. Or they could also just be from the corners. Again, cards are slicker, which is nice. We'll move these aside. Keep a stack. I do want to try and find, obviously, matching cards from the Japanese so we can compare. So we'll just put them over here for now. Let me organize, and then we'll crack into the Japanese. Right, let's try and get these done nice and quick. Yeah, they're a little bit red, a little bit swollen. I have pretty skinny fingers, so it's easy to tell that they're swollen. But yeah, actually, if I do it that way, maybe. Oh well. We don't have too much left to talk about, so let's try and do this fairly quickly. In terms of surgical extraction, I do have the Japanese copies set aside here. Not that you could, tell them apart from the original printings. Chains of meta, whatever. That one would have been great to find in the Belgium to compare, since it is a very vibrantly coloured card. Surgical extraction, Japanese, Belgium, right? No discernible difference. Colors look identical. It's a little bit darker on Japanese, right? This is more bluey, this is more like greyish blue. This is more darker blue / purple. Backs, again, smooth versus slightly up on the Japanese. We can sort of see it, right? On this edge and this edge. Oh, I might as well put them in my box. Again, the whiting damage to cards is far less than what I saw in Outsiders. Do we have that card? I might have that card. Oranges is what we should actually look for, since, that was the big color difference in the boxes. I didn't look at packs, though. I'm guessing the packs were equivalent. I've already tucked them away, unfortunately. Nope. So with Japanese, we just have to check the last two cards. We stand and a foil. There are a lot of orange cards. Should be pretty easy to find. Two that we can compare. Widespread Ruin. It's nice. Bizette. No foils though. Again, I don't know why. Because, well, I do know because we keep saying it. They don't want to cannibalize the promos. Do something different, right? Do alternative art. There's lots of ways around things. Another M. Foil. Ugh. Blacky tear tabs, though. It's super annoying. Foil, no M. We should slow it. There we go, that one. See the whiting on the edge here. Hopefully. Camera, closer. Still having difficulty getting this to focus. Yeah, it's only slight. But obviously, it's still damage to the edging, which is something that gets graded if you were to grade your cards. That'd be funny. We found a Marvel Angel in this set, in this box. I mean, nice. M goes there, foil goes there. In terms of pricing, obviously the Belgian box has one. Unless, well, we could always find a Cold Foil Legendary. That'd probably be more comparable. But I think the Triumph is one of the playable ones, is it not? I think I saw it be priced as one of the higher Angels. Again, I do think they'll just fall to the Dragons. Speaking of which, I see this a lot, right? That the rare Marvel Dragons are easier to pull than the majestic Marvel Dragons. Is that true? Right? Because to me, I always took it as the Marvel slot was the Marvel slot. Doesn't matter if it's rare or majestic, it's now Marvel. Right? So all the Marvels have similar pulls. Obviously, in Dynasty, the Emperor versus the Angel versus the Mechanoid, they all had harder pull rates. I'm curious about the Dragons, if the rares are actually easier to pull, or if that's, to be honest, a bit of headcanon. right? Because obviously they're not rare on the slot, they are just diamonds. And the whole point of them is not to necessarily play with them, but to collect them. So to me, it would make more sense that all Marvel cards are Marvel rarity, right? That the rares aren't printed just because they are rares, and therefore, no, what would it be? It would be 48 to 5 or 6 in terms of rares to majestics. So a good almost 10 times, 8 times the rarity for a majestic Marvel versus a rare Marvel Dragon. That'd be interesting, because obviously all the angels are majestics. I should do pricing then. I'll look up the pricing of the Scowling flesh bag. I'm also oring because I already have it. And we have cold foil, normal, and cold foil extender. So there are some. I'm actually confused about that. So I was looking at TCG Player, and I guess they weren't always listed. Depends on the card. Let me look up the ones I do have pulled already, which are just over there. So give me a sec. Okay, so it should be right. Okay, so the diadem, cold foil, extended up. Does it come in cold foil normal? Because I only have 2 rainbow foil others. The Rapture, I'm pretty sure, only comes in cold foil extended. Scowling flesh bag is cold foil normal, but then the majestic brute head comes in extended art cold foil. So yeah, it's a bit confusing. Iron Song Venus, not extended art. The Diadritic Caprice, well, these are not sorted correctly, comes in extended art, and then Soulbound Resolve. I don't know, obviously I need to pull them so that we can compare them hands down. But I'm curious about, obviously, what comes in extended art. Levia Redeemed, still non-foiled. I think people were saying it's because of rainbow foil issues with double-sided cards. I kind of find that a bit weird, but you never know. They could have obviously just done a dumbed-down cold foil version then, and then a better Marvel version. I don't know. Back to the packs, of which there are only 3. So, wrapping it up. So what's worth more? The cold foil legendary or the Marvel Angel? I think the Marvel Angel is probably going to be worth more. And we still need to find our orange card. Plus maybe a foil to compare. Oh, there you go. Celestial Reprimand is nice and orangish. Set that aside. And lucky last pack. So, 2 decent boxes. Again, it feels great just to open random boxes. You never know what you're gonna get, right? Technically, they were both bottom boxes, and I had found legendaries from all those cases already. So it's nice to obviously see them. Okay, there's Celestial Reprimand. Should definitely have gotten one. Perfect. Is there any noticeable difference in the colors, right? Because the boxes, the oranges were very apparent. I'm gonna say no, right? Well, from looking visually, like with my eyes, that makes sense, I don't see any difference. But then again, my eyes are not the greatest. On the camera, right, looking through my phone on the screen, this looks more yellow and this looks more orange, similar to the boxes. Is that true? Let me know. But yeah, quality control. There's still the issues that I've pointed out with Outsiders, right? The raised edges from however they're cutting, and a lot more whiting on certain edges. We should probably check the cold foil, because that's the big one to sort of acknowledge, right? There's a little spot there, but it's fine. You know, these little ones, I'll just chalk it up to transportation damage, but the edge is definitely raised on this side. See? You can sort of see where it indents into my finger. It raises a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. Box-wise, I still think the Belgium one. But I do have less grievances with being stuck with the Japanese product with Dusk Till Dawn than what I did with Outsiders. I really didn't want to open the Japanese version of Outsiders because to me the quality just seemed a lot worse compared to Belgium. Seems a bit more in check now with Dusk Till Dawn. But still, not to the standards I would expect from a Japanese product in terms of what we generally hear about Japanese printing. I don't know. Obviously, Legendary Heroes are still a small player, if you will. The card stock also feels thicker slightly on the Belgium. Maybe not. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed.